Hey, welcome back to Mindset Explosion season number 5, episode number 6. And today I'm going to be talking about a business life at its limit. Okay, so last week I had, oh my gosh, I've been waiting 2 years to get along to Cheltenham Town Hall and watch Jason Fox do his life at the limit talk. Easy for me to say, right? Life at the limit talk at Cheltenham Town Hall, as I just said. If you were there, drop a comment in below. What did you think? What did you get from there? And of course, if you've got anything to add within today's episode, please drop it in the comments. And of course, as always, if you are listening on the podcast or even just watching it on video, YouTube, wherever, drop in a 5-star review and a nice little comment. Always helps. And please share this because I hope it's really going to help someone out there in my position or a different position, getting started in business, thinking of starting a business, or just just general mindset stuff. That's what this channel or multimedia show was all about. So let me bring it back. So I went to see Jason Fox last week. I really enjoyed it. I've been so much looking forward to go. If you didn't know, Jason Fox, he's a former elite SAS soldier or SBS soldier. Came onto our screens in the UK with the popular as a DS on the popular SAS Who Dare Wins series. Absolutely love that show. Oh my gosh, I love it when it's on. I look forward to watching it and absolutely hooked. But I did listen to his book, Life Under Fire. Listen to it on Audible. I don't know, a few years back now. Really, I absolutely loved it, and because he talked so openly, and he did it on the event last week as well. So about his PTSD, I could relate a lot to it, having gone for my own mental health things in the past. So it was really. Yeah, really good to listen to. And I had a few take homes, and that's why I've kind of played a little bit on those words. And that's the meaning of this title for today. So, business life at its limit. Not for it to be a negative, but to kind of, have a little bit of a look back and see how, what are my take homes from going to that event? Because obviously, Jason Fox is a very positive, he's a role model and, is a very positive influence. So, I just want to share some of my own experiences and my, how that kind of not triggered anything, just made me really think about my own experiences of having gone through, depression and anxiety and how that affected me and just feeling like there was no way, back from it. And it took time to, step out of that. And it's one of them things I'm much more aware of now. I can see those signs of when they're happening and just, you never think it was going to happen to you. That's what he said. You never think it was going to happen to you. I think he said he didn't believe in that stuff. And then suddenly, before he knew it, he was in that situation. But that's his story. And we've all got our own story. And being a business owner at times, and, an entrepreneur, it can be like incredibly lonely because not everyone is going to understand the vision that you have. I have some, great ideas that come from my mentors and it gets filtered down. And then being in different mastermind groups, you pick up so many different ideas that can lead to different opportunities on how you want to be a part of the community. You want to sort of support your staff and the teams that you have and everything, and just where you want to go with what it is that you're doing. And just everything I pick up, I think in life we might hear someone's moral or principle and you might think, what, I like that, I'm going to adopt it. You're probably doing it already, but it just becomes that much more meaningful and you have maybe that little bit more clarity on it. So a couple of my take homes I've got from last week, and if you get a chance to go, I highly recommend it. Any of those guys, I think they're so inspiring. As an elite soldier, the way that they must have to think. I got a lot of respect for everything that they do and that they've done, and the sacrifices they must have had to make. So I think the first one I got was that it is all on you as a business owner. Or an entrepreneur, even in life, if it's all on you. If you work for someone else, it's still all on you. Because we're in control of our destiny. So if things go wrong, it could be someone else's fault. It could be something's happened, but it still comes back to you. So your reputation is something that's so important. I have to be so mindful of where I put myself and where I am. It could just change like that. And it gets, but it all comes back to you. Or if someone in your team is doing something that's not that that's happened, but say if you've got a team and they're doing something untoward, it comes back to you. And I remember that from school anyway. I remember with the school I was at, that it was very important that, if you were seen doing something outside of school and that school uniform on, it went back, right? It went back to that school. It was, oh, that school must be bad because that one person did X, Y, Z. So it is all on you. And that's not a negative. It can be a positive. It's because like now it's like, well, you're in control. You can't be, we can't have that victim mindset. Well, this didn't work because of so and so, it didn't work because of that, it didn't work because of this. It becomes back to you. So use it as a way of empowering yourself to think, right, okay, we're going to take control of this, and this is how we're going to push it forward, and how you build your team. But things do take time. And I think that was something he said about PTSD. And like I said, with mental health, it takes time to recover from stuff, and it will take however long it's going to take. But I think if you see a clear path out of it, then you're on the right track. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but you're on that elevation to pull yourself out of there and get to where it is that you want to be. And that's something I think even my martial arts training, it was tough at times. Coming in as an instructor, it was really tough at times. But going for those downgrades, it's a long day, and all I could think about, right, I'm coming out of this. It mentally challenging, physically, don't even ask at times, because it was just a hard thing, but it set me up in my mind, right, I just need to see my way out of here, and I just got to do this bit here right now, not worry about the 8 hours exam that I would be doing, or however long it would be, not worrying about the cramp I knew was inevitably going to kick in at some point. It just really, right, I need to focus on this right now. So it is all on you. It's not a negative. It means that you can control the destiny of the ship that you are in. And we're on a ship. It's the life ship, right? Okay, surround yourself with trusted people. So that's really important. That's something I've had to put a lot of time into over the last few years, and it shifts a little bit as one of my good friends says. She says that some people are here for a season, some for a lifetime. So finding those trusted people, you just never know. And it's just right, surrounding myself with trusted people that I know can drive it forward, and understanding as well that when it comes to be able to talk about stuff, because as a business owner it can be a bit lonely, that when you've got these great ideas and you can see exactly how it's going to develop, right? There's potential in your business and how it can evolve into what it's going to evolve into. But I think initially when I was thinking about, right, we're going to do my reception area is going to like a cafe, you could almost see a little bit of glazed look in people's eyes. So, but I had to stick with it. But I was able to talk to trusted people maybe outside. So trusted people, it can be your team, it can be your family, but I would say I like being part of mastermind groups with high level, and I'm almost like the new kid there, and I'm learning as much as I can from there. So that's probably another take home, was when he Jason Fox talked about when he left the Marines to go to the SAS. It was like he's almost starting all over again, and that's basically how I can describe going from one level of coaching to the next level. It's almost like starting again, and I'm surrounded by people, successful people that are doing great, and I love that. It's a little bit nerving because it's like the new kid in the school, really. But what you find is you start getting into more and more helpful people that really want to see you grow. And that's the one thing I've noticed being in mastermind groups. They want to see you grow. And it's no one's running you down. No one's saying bad mouthing. No one's saying all this stuff. They just don't have time for that. And that's what I love. It's like you're not caught up in this is rubbish and that's rubbish and moaning. It totally away from that. And it's everyone's looking forward. And they've all got their own things going on, because that's just life in general. That's just how it is. But they just focus on getting themselves through it and taking care of their community at the same time. So I love being part of that. So surround yourself with trusted people that you can talk about ideas with and share those ideas, and then hopefully then you can bring it back to your team. Next one I would say is asking for help. And that, again, I think this derived a little bit from the PTSD, where he finally accepted it and then ask for help and similar stuff. When it's getting on top of you, go and ask for help. There's no shame in that. I like, if you're like me, that was a big, like a tough pill to swallow sometimes. So just be able to ask for help and taking like the ownership back and shifting things around. And it is often like a little thought process, a paradigm shift here, a paradigm shift there, putting like thinking who's the most important right now. It's always going to be yourself. It's not that your staff or your clients aren't important. They are. But you got to start with number one. Then I would say staff, then clients next. And that might be a bit of a funny way of looking at it, because but the customers are always right and they're important. They are important because they pay the bills, but it's your staff inevitably is going to be running the boat when you're not there or for whatever reason. So went off on one there, didn't I? Ask for help. It's so important. If you're not sure of anything, ask. And getting into business as well. So even though I was pretty much working in there, I built that up. It wasn't my systems, it was someone else's, but I knew how I could market it, but I had to go and ask and find out and learn the things that I didn't know and didn't understand. And a lot of the time that might be an online course, and I would watch that video about 5 to 10 times, if not more, just to get my head around, like, how do I do a Facebook ad then? But not, I had to shut off a lot of noise. Where if you use Facebook marketing, for an example, some people may have done the one and it just, that doesn't work. Didn't work for me. I did one, didn't work. So I had to really surround myself with trusted people. I had to shut that noise out. So I'm very mindful of, what I'm listening to. Sometimes I can sit there and I don't feel bad about it, but I know that the doors have just come down because it's not going to serve me on a positive, take me forward. I know things go wrong, but I think I prepare for the worst, of course, but also you got to look forward. That's how I feel it. Okay, you got to look forward and you got to see a way out and push yourself to make those changes and get out. Next step or next key I got from last week was challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone. This is my favorite. I've been training this for years. I think one of the first videos that I did was like step out your comfort zone. And we used to do this like little circle. That's your comfort zone. And outside is like all the cool stuff happens. But it takes a bit of courage just to try something, out. Let's test this and step out of it. If you don't, that's okay. Nothing wrong with being in your comfort zone. It's nice being comfortable, right? But get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. I guess that's an advantage of me doing martial arts. I often was in uncomfortable situations and training. It didn't feel very nice, but we have to get comfortable with it. And again, it changed that mindset to think, well, we've got to step out of here. I can't just stay here. I'm not going to grow. And when we step out of our comfort zone, we grow. We learn more. We make a few mistakes. We're not afraid to make them, right? And as I just said it, we grow. And that is where all the cool stuff happens. Don't do anything stupid, but, step outside and try those new things. But if you're okay where you are, then you're okay where you are. It might be that it's going like that, but I doubt it. I say you're quite leveling off, but I was always, do you know what? I used fear to my advantage. I felt if I got too comfortable, it was going to go like this. And there were times I got too comfortable and it went a little bit like this. When I stepped out, it went like this. Sometimes it had to drop a little bit just to bring it back up. Cut certain changes I just had to make, with the business. Didn't always please everyone, but the outcome worked out exactly how I wanted it to work out. So it is making some hard choices sometimes, but challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone. Have that belief within yourself. Very important to know your strengths and your weaknesses. That's the next keynote. So I would say, be open, honest to them. I know there's things I just would struggle with. That's why I have a power team, and I can get my head around it. But it would just take longer. So I know there's people that can just do things a lot quicker and faster than me. Now, when I got started out, I have to admit I had to just get on and do everything. So I was doing the bookkeeping, I was doing the payroll, I was doing the cleaning, and that's why my hair's falling out from taking all these hats off, I guess. So and slowly I had it in my head, I need to get rid of some of these tasks. I was teaching and running it basically as well. So I was doing quite a lot, often in there hours when other staff weren't there preparing, for an event or whatever. This is going way back now. So I couldn't do that all. I could have carried on, right? And we would just stay where we are. But I had to understand where my strengths were, where my weaknesses. And I had to start handing some stuff over. And yeah, just paying for some services, really. And it freed up my time. What a relief. because I did not study accountancy, so it was like a bit of guesswork. But what a relief to hand some of that, hand those things over. And so it was important for me to stop working in the business, but to work on the business. And I feel so much we have prospered in a great way and able to, expand more by having that in my head. I've still got a few little tweaks here and there, but I've really, those that know me at Cheltenham Martial Arts probably don't see me much anymore. I've worked to build up, everyone that's there is part of that team. They're a great bunch, and they all have their roles to play. That now brings me on to the next bit. It's know your team strengths and weaknesses. Really important to know that. Know what they're good at, and you may not always know it. It's it takes a bit of finding out where they're good at, and that's where they can slot in and take over some of the tasks. And actually, I feel the managers I got, the manager I have is a better manager than me. So that's great because and sometimes you just got to fire yourself, and that's what I did. I sacked myself from a lot of roles, and even things where I might have, I might feel better at. It doesn't matter. It's hard to let go, I know, but it will serve you in the end because it enables you then to do other things. You can work on the business, work on growing the team and developing them until eventually they'll be doing it for you, and you'll find they think very much the same as you as well. That's something I'm starting to know. I've noticed for a while, but I could see that even growing, more and more. It takes time, but it can happen. All right. And even if you've had a bad staff member or one that didn't quite get it, that's okay as well. It's a bit annoying at time, but that's part of it because you're pretty much going to find out what it is you want and what it is you don't want. And you'll learn a lot about yourself. So don't be afraid to make mistakes and just, be humble enough to say, you know what, that didn't work out with them person coming in. They were a nightmare, but thank you anyway, because, they had some part to play in the progression of what it is we were doing, right? So kind of similar, it's building a superhero team. Where everyone does understand their role. Now, that's always an ongoing process, right? But I feel like I love the superhero films, the Marvel Avengers. I was always DC when I was growing up. I preferred DC and Batman. I liked Batman because he didn't have the powers, but he knew everyone's weaknesses. So don't mess with Batman. If you go on his team, he's going to know exactly how to destroy you. Well, he defeated Superman and came off on one again. But the point is this: like if they got to defeat some alien monster, interdimensional being that's coming to destroy the world, they can't rely on just the one. They have to. There's a reason why they've all got different superpowers. And that's so important when building a team. I remember once someone saying, "Oh, I'm not like the rest of the team." I was like, "Good, I don't want you to be because that there's no point to that." It's very important that my team are individuals and that they are very, very different and very unique in their own ways, and that gives us strength because one person's strength is going to be able to counteract another person's weakness. And actually, we can all turn those weaknesses into strengths as well. And I think that's very important. So build yourself a superhero team. And it's going to be a bit of trial and error. Okay. And eventually everyone will understand their role. I'm just going to finish up with what he finished up with, Jason Fox, on this. Before I do, just if you've got any other tips you might want to add, that business life at the limit, that was the heading, but it's what tips in being an entrepreneur or a business, someone who's a bit more seasoned than me, or on the same par as me, we could just chuck in loads. So put some more in for me to help people on their journey, and let's support each other. And rising tide, it always raises all ships. And again, like I said, if you're not part of some mentorship program or a mastermind, get yourself in one, but find that higher level of thinking, especially if you get frustrated with like the monies and oh, it's no good. It's like the chicken little, the sky is falling. If that grates you a little bit, hey, look, there's nothing wrong with what they're saying. But like for me, I just got I have to be so mindful of that. And I think it's a mental health thing as well. I think it's just me being, really mindful of my mental health. If That made me think of it last night. If it's bad mouthing, if it's running down, if it's like petty stuff, I have to step away from it, because some things like that can trigger things with me. So it's like, no, my circle, this is how it is, and we're just going to avoid from there. Okay. All right. Went off on one. So drop some tips in if you've got any. All right. You have got some, not if. I know you have. Put them in. And don't forget, drop us a nice 5-star review. That is going to help so much in building up the new format that we're building up to for Mindset Explosion. So I have got coming up for next week, I've got the first interview of the year. Really looking forward to that. He's a fellow masterminder. So more on that, I'll leave you to tune in next week for that one. All right. But before we go, what Jason Fox finished up with is at the end was memento mori. Remember, you must die. And what he said was that obviously you need to finish up something positive, but it's not, it might seem negative, but it wasn't meant to be negative. Like life will end at some point. And what he's saying is that, keep pushing your limits, basically. Hopefully you won't reach your limit, is what he said. And I thought that was so powerful. Keep pushing your limits. Hopefully you won't reach your limit. And he shared, obviously, he talked about his time during in the military, then the working on the show, some other shows he's worked in, like going out, the drug cartels, investigating around that. I'm trying to remember everything properly now. Rowing across the Atlantic and then down the Yukon River. So it's so interesting that was he understood that he just needed that thrill. That was him. And for me, I get the thrill. Like martial arts gave me such a thrill, gave me that buzz, but also that like challenging myself from buying a business, right? How do I step back and start working on my business? So I reached that goal. Now what? So I did business acquisitions. So I set out on that last year. I'm still working on that at the moment. That's going to be ongoing. I'm trying to acquire in 6 beauty salons into the group we have. And because, it's a challenge and I'd like to, test my limits, but also, maybe there's a business that's just a bit tired, whatever. And see, saves, they shouldn't have to stop. It shouldn't come to an end, and then just working our magic there, making, how can everyone achieve their goals through that, basically, in a nutshell. And now onto my new ventures within property investing. I got a big course. I'm on at the moment, actually, as you're watching this, unless you're watching it later, of course, or listeners later. Anyway, that's it. So remember, you must die. So set some great goals, go out there, make them happen, have fun messing it up, learning as you go. But we're in 2nd month now, February, if you're listening to as this comes out. So where are you at? What are the where are we at for the rest of the year? How are we going to hit them? And just get excited, go out and do it, and make your life, but push the comfort zone and have an exit plan. How are you going to exit out? Because I think that's one thing I'll probably talk about in another podcast, but it's sometimes, what is the exit for whatever it is you're doing, and how would you like that to happen, and prepare for that. And that's one thing I've learned with the business buying up. A lot of businesses, they didn't really prepare for the exit, and then the business ends up with not the value maybe they would like, and it's quite tough to kind of put that across, because it turned into too much of a lifestyle for them. So you have an exit strategy if you're a business owner. Very important. Okay. All right, that's it. I will see you next week. Looking forward to the interview, and peace, love always. Don't forget, 11 a.m. every Tuesday. I am live on the Inner Power podcast with my co-host, Andrew. We're talking about well-being, mindset, not so much business, a little bit of spirituality. If that's for you, get yourself on it. You will absolutely love it. We have a blast every Tuesday with that one.